welcome back to another episode of the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is David, and that is my friend Ryan Mosser next to me. We're so excited to have you here, so grab a seat, kick up the seat. We're going to talk all things fantasy football, and it's going to be a treat. We are really excited about this week's episode. We are going to continue talking about all of our risers and fallers and all the fantasy things that we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to talk through our sponsors. So we are sponsored by Inside Edge Network, LVP Productions, and Mosser Moments Photography, a husband and wife photography company. Sponsored by the Mossers. So if you're ever looking for somebody to come and shoot your pictures for you for family gatherings, prom, homecoming, weddings primarily, please contact them. They're great. They did my wedding and it was fantastic. So,
thanks, bud.
How you doing, Ryan?
Doing all right, man. Doing okay. Long week, so I'm excited to decompress and talk some fantasy football with you, bud.
Same, yeah. It's been a long week for me too. But yeah, we are going to jump into our first segment that we like to call our hunks and our skunks. So
let me go over injuries real quick first.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah, long list again, but let me just go through them real quick. Injuries this week, like I said today. Usually, what I say, today's Wednesday, so it's subject to change. Obviously, we try to get the episode out before Thursday Night Football, but everyone usually plays on Sunday, so things are subject to change. But today, as of today, injuries: Dalton Kincaid is out week to week, oblique. Joshua Palmer with an ankle. Darren Waller is pectoral. I thought he was put on IR. Double check that, but I put week to week. Garrett Wilson is out with a knee injury. Lamar Jackson's week to week with the knee. Mike Gesicki IR. David Njoku's day to day with the knee. Calvin Austin shoulder. Cade Sobers foot. Nico Collins had a concussion. Same with Josh Downs. He had a concussion. Calvin Ridley's hamstring. Brock Bowers knee expected to be back this week. We're still something to monitor. Jacoby Myers knee and toe. Hassan Haskins hamstring. Miles Sanders on IR, Darius Slayton hamstring, Terry McLaurin quad, Deebo Samuel heel, Noah Brown groin and knee, Jaden Daniels hamstring. Basically the entire Commanders offense. Cole Kmet back. Jaden Reed collarbone/foot was expected to be back in November, but he just had surgery that was unexpected to correct his Jones fracture in his foot. Now the return time is questionable, so just watch that for Jaden Reed. Christian Watson was designated to return from IR, limited practice last week. He said today that he was actually looking to play this week, so go check him out. Carson Wentz, shoulder, limited practice. Aaron Jones, returning from IR, limited practice. Michael Penix, foot day-to-day. Bryce Young, ankle, most likely out. Kendry Miller, torn ACL, out for the season. Chris Godwin, fibula. Mike Evans, collarbone and concussion, will miss most of the rest of the season. I'd probably expect him to miss at least the regular season. Bucky Irvin is out with a foot and shoulder injury. Kyler Murray, foot. Puka Nacua, day-to-day. Brock Purdy, shoulder is week to week. And then Ricky Pearsall is questionable with a knee. So definitely check out all of their backups.
Yeah. Wow. It's extensive at this point. Like, just everybody's going down.
This year's awful. This year's so awful.
Yeah, I know that your fantasy team in our Dynasty League has definitely felt the pain of that.
Bro, breaking my heart.
I did not have high expectations for my Dynasty team, but having Brock Bowers kind of be the main focal point for my team really cost me. So.
Yeah, I'm grateful because I have your first round pick next year. So.
You should be.
All right, let's get into hunks and skunks.
Hunks and skunks. All right, so to recap last week, some of the hunks that I picked last week, I talked about Patrick Mahomes, Bijan Robinson, George Pickens. They all did really, really well. And some skunks that I talked about last week were the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chase Brown, and Saquon Barkley. Which Saquon, I don't know what's going on with him. He's definitely been more of a skunk lately, though, but just not. He's getting the touches, but just not getting the production that he once did. And it's looking like the offense has kind of shifted away from him being the focal point to the passing game being more the focal point. So it'll be interesting to see how.
I know what progresses. It was. I know why.
What is it?
Wasn't he on a Madden cover recently?
Oh, that's true. He was. Just saying. I'm not superstitious, but
just a little stitious, yeah. All right. So last week, my hunks, I had Bijan Robinson and DK Metcalf. Bijan had 14 carries for 40 yards, not very good. 6 catches for 52 yards and a receiving touchdown, though. Pretty good. 21 fantasy points. DK, 3 catches for 50 yards, only 8 fantasy points. That was not really good for a hunk. And for a skunk, I had Chase Brown, 11 rushes for 108 yards, 13 fantasy points. He did well. That was definitely not a skunk. And then I had DJ Moore. DJ Moore only had 3 catches for 43 yards. That's definitely not very good, very average. DJ Moore's a skunk. All right, this week's hunks. Do you want to start? You can go do your team first. Okay.
Yeah, I'll start with mine. I'd be shocked if we don't have the same person at the top of our list, but Quinshon Judkins, the one and only thing that matters in the Browns offense right now. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. I think he had 25 carries for 80-something yards, if I remember correctly. Most of that came on like 2 carries.
Crazy.
But yeah, he looks good. He looks explosive. Definitely looks everything that was advertised during the offseason at camp. While he was there. So definitely excited to see him continue to progress and that run game continue to get going and keep going. My next hunk was Devontae Adams. Speaking of another hat trick, he might have just had two. I don't remember. But he went across the pond, as they say, and just dominated against the Jaguars. And so it was cool to see him do well. And I don't know. It's interesting because he must have just really hated his life in Las Vegas while he was on the Raiders, because he definitely still has it. He still has the juice. He still has the ability to make those contested catches and be a good red zone threat, as we saw this past Sunday. But man, his time in the Raiders must have been really frustrating.
Have you seen the Raiders though?
Yeah.
I'm a Browns fan, but I think Ashton Jeanty commented, recently that he's not surprised that they're not doing well because they haven't done well in the last 15 years. So, Jeanty as their superstar, first round pick, commenting on that already. He's definitely obviously looking to build culture. It's not like he's trashing the team. He's just looking to start a culture finally. So, my hunks for this week, I have Jonathan Taylor, shocker. Last week against the Chargers, he had 16 rushes for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns, hat trick. 3 catches for 38 yards, almost 35 fantasy points. Let's face it, Jonathan Taylor is an absolute beast. He's currently the RB2 on the season. It doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. This week, the red hot 6-1 Colts are playing the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are absolutely a mess right now. They just fired their head coach. Their rushing defense is no exception to that either. The Titans are 29th in rushing defense, allowing 139.6 points a game, and they've allowed 12 rushing touchdowns. Those 12 rushing touchdowns are also the most in the league right now currently. Jonathan Taylor will continue his rampage this week. I expect him to be the RB1 when week 8 is over. He's clearly a hunk for sure. So. And then my second one, shocker here, Ja'Marr Chase. Wow, I'm really going on a limb here. Last week against the Steelers, 60 catches on 23 targets. That's insane.
Insane amount of volume.
And a touchdown, almost 40 fantasy points. First off, the Browns are idiots for trading Joe Flacco to another team within the division. I'm a Browns fan. I'm not allowed to say that. But, that was such a great thing for Ja'Marr Chase. Joe will target Ja'Marr an ungodly amount this rest of the season. He had 23 targets last week. The game plan is get that dude the ball. Last week's performance was perfect. It was just perfect. Anytime a team can figure out a way to target the wide receiver one over 20 times a game, it's going to be a fantastic week for fantasy owners. The Bengals are playing the Jets this week, and the Jets are just as much of a mess as the Titans, if not worse. They have the worst record in the NFL and absolutely no passing game, not to mention Justin Fields has just been benched for Tyrod Taylor. The Jets have a good passing defense, ranked 9th. The team is on a downward spiral. Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Flacco are a match made in heaven. A seasoned veteran QB with accurate passes throwing to a top wide receiver in the league. Chase is going to continue this amazing run. As long as Joe Flacco is healthy and they can protect him, he's going to average 20 targets a game. Ja'Marr Chase is a no-brainer hunk. So.
Yep, absolutely. I also had a third hunk on here, honorable mention. It is the Chiefs organization is what I'm calling that one, because they looked red hot last week. You get the addition back of Rashee Rice, who's just going to be so dynamic for them and really open things up for their offense. And that defense is really looking like the solid defense that got them to the Super Bowl last year. So definitely excited for that honorable mention Chiefs organization, because they weathered the storm, got through the suspension with Rashee Rice, got through some injuries, and now they're getting healthy and looking dynamic. So really excited for that.
Yeah, good stride to take on for the rest of the season. So, All right, drop your skunks.
My skunks. We already talked about this one a little bit, but I went with another organization, and that was the Las Vegas Raiders organization. You mentioned earlier how Ashton Jeanty was already bashing the culture and the lack of success over the past few years. That was one of the things that came up recently and is making a lot of headlines. But that offense is just awful. They scored 0 points. Their longest play from scrimmage was 16 yards. That's embarrassing.
That's crazy.
Embarrassing. Just awful. And so, they just got absolutely torched by the Chiefs. And Pete Carroll, will he make it through the season? I don't know. You put up a big goose egg in a football game. That's awful. And I know that they're dealing with injuries and very inconsistent quarterback play, and their offensive line is embarrassing. But
Pete Carroll's far from the problem. So.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah. But, man, that organization is a mess. So. Yeah.
What's your second?
My second one is a little bit controversial, I think, but I went with Quentin Johnston. Somebody who seemed to just skyrocket right out of the gates to start the season seems to have fallen back down to earth. Yes, he did catch a touchdown pass this past week, but his stats besides that were really not that great. He had 2 catches for 15 yards.
Yeah.
And a touchdown. So take the touchdown away, and fantasy-wise, he's just really not relevant at all. And so I don't know what happened to them, but the week before he was out and injured, he really didn't do that well. Only had 4 catches, and now 2 catches for 15 yards. I don't know where that deep threat went, but he's not there anymore, not getting the same amount of targets. So I don't know if that's a correlation to them not really having much of a running game right now, and so people are just trying to stop the pass and stop the deep pass. But yeah, I don't know. They got to figure out a way to get him going again because that Chargers team is just dynamic when he's back to his normal self. So
Yeah.
right now, he is a skunk for me fantasy-wise.
Last week's stats were concerning. I mean, the emergence of Ladd McConkey when Johnston was out was obviously, I mean, he played really well. And then McConkey also played well last week. It looks like maybe Ladd is not taking over his job back, but maybe just getting more in the mix, getting more snap percentage. It's definitely something to watch. I was going to give it at least another week just to see if Johnston, could continue his reign or is going to be just dropped down and behind the guy. So we'll see. I don't know. Definitely something to watch, though. Those stats were not good last week. So.
Not at all. But he still had 90% of the snap percentage. He's in the field, but not getting looked at.
Yeah. Just a week. We'll see. My first skunk, I have Kareem Hunt.
Ooh,
39th overall running back. I know, David just talked about how much he loves the Chiefs, but the Chiefs running game is a three-headed workhorse, but nobody's really taking advantage of it. I've said it all years. It's kind of a mess, Pacheco had a 56% snap count, 15 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. That was good. Brashard Smith, the rookie, 38% snap percentage, 14 rushes on 39 yards, but he is amazing at catching out of the backfield. 5 catches for 49 yards. Really good number, especially for the rookie, but those numbers didn't leave much for Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt only had a 19% snap percentage, 4 carries for 18 yards, 1.8 fantasy points. This running back room is finally looking to solidify itself and is looking like Kareem Hunt is going to be the odd man out. Brashard Smith, like I said, he's a promising rookie who can catch in the backfield. I actually expect him to become the running back 1 by the end of the season, just because of his versatility. Yeah, that's the word. Versatility. He's got really good hands. I think the Kareem Hunt experiment is over with the Chiefs. He's a skunk for me. So.
Yeah, I agree that anytime you're in like a committee backfield like that, it's always just hit or miss. And then when the younger guys start taking away some of your snap percentages, like your value of fantasy is just going to keep diminishing. So sucks because I like Kareem Hunt, but makes sense.
I do too. Yeah. My second and final skunk, Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Bears. Last week against the Saints, 15 to 26 for only 172 yards and 1 interception, 5.68 fantasy points. That's garbage. What is that? Yeah. Looking like rookie Caleb Williams out there. The first 3 weeks, Caleb Williams looks like a franchise QB. He looked amazing. In those 3 weeks, he had 715 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Like, you can't really beat that. But the last 4 weeks, including a bye week on week 5, he had 636 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So those touchdowns went way down, and now the interceptions are up or equal. Although the Bears play the Ravens this week, who have absolutely been horrible this year, I don't understand what's up with that defense. It's like they just completely lost their identity. Ranking 28th in the passing defense, I don't think that it matters too much. The Bears' offense is unreliable and predictable. 1 week you have Ben Johnson scheming up some incredible plays, and the next week you have just them falling flat in their face. I'm staying far away from Caleb Williams, especially after his horrible performance last week against the Saints. I think that he's going to be a skunk this week. So.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think the one thing I feel like I've noticed, at least with that Bears team as a whole, is they definitely play up or down to whatever the competition is that week. Right. So they played against the Saints team who's kind of feisty but really not that great. So they kind of played down to that competition. But in weeks past, they've played up to other good competition like the Commanders and ended up beating them on a last-minute drive. So It's just a very weird, volatile team right now, and I think they're still trying to figure out essentially who they are because they're so young and so just new. So I think give them a little bit of time, but I do think that Bears offense will bounce back and look a little bit more friendly for fantasy managers as they move forward. But it's a good pick because right now he's not looking comfortable or just consistent. So
all right, let's move on to fantasy fireworks. This is where we give a matchup where we think is going to produce a ton of points for the fantasy week. I just have one this week. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first, Dave?
Do you want to recap what we did last week and see how we did?
I do not have my recap, but go ahead first. I will look at what I did.
Yeah, so last week I had the Bucks and the Lions, and that ended up being a great fantasy game for all the Bucks and not really the Lions. It was a great game, honestly. If you watched it, it was pretty close. But the Bucks kind of pulled away early, and the Lions made a little bit of mistakes, and Jared Goff didn't really look like himself. Threw some picks, had a turnover, strip sack. And so it was a good game. Only kind of one-sided though for fantasy fireworks. What did you have for yours last week?
I had the Colts and the Chargers. I thought that was pretty good. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones almost threw 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really good for the Colts. The Chargers still look really good. They questionable with the running game. I think Kamani Vidal is going to take over that. Definitely going to take over that backfield, but still very questionable. But still, I think a good game overall.
Yeah, the final score was 38-24, so 62 points total.
Yeah.
So definitely a great fireworks game.
For sure.
Yeah, mine was 24-9. So
there you go.
not even really much going on there.
Right.
Also, I mixed the two teams up earlier. The Bucks and the Lions. It was Lions that was one-sided, not the Bucks.
I see. You're good.
So this week for Week 8, I have the Dallas Cowboys at the Denver Broncos as my fantasy fireworks matchup.
Right.
That offense for the Dallas Cowboys is electric. You've got George Pickens playing out of his mind, CeeDee Lamb coming back, Javonte Williams being a good running back for fantasy, scoring a lot of touchdowns, and Dak Prescott being able to find open players, and even Jake Ferguson being a good tight end option. So that offense is dynamic. It looks explosive, but it's going up against a Denver team that has a great defense and a team that really just rallied and scored 4 touchdowns in the last fourth quarter last week to win the game. And so definitely, a matchup to watch because it could be a very big shootout, or it might not be, and the Denver Broncos defense shows up and shuts down the Cowboys offense. But we'll see. So I'm excited to see how that one plays out because there's a lot of weapons on both sides. So
yeah. So this week for my fantasy firework, I have the Giants versus the Eagles.
Ooh, okay.
I really like this matchup, and remember, just a couple weeks ago, the Giants actually just beat the Eagles.
Yep.
Giants are 2-4, 17th ranked offense. Not a very good defense, but like I said, that offense is undeniable. The connection with Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo. I mean, the dude, I don't know. He looks like he just runs through brick walls for recreation. So I don't know. He's incredible. He's a 10th overall running back right now as a rookie. Really, really good. 98 rushes for almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that's splitting the backfield, obviously, with Tyron Tracy, which is awesome. I really like Jackson Dart. I really like his rushing ability. Theo Johnson, I think, is a great red zone threat. The Eagles offense, like you said, I personally think that this Eagles team is a bit. How do I say that? I mean, they're 5-2, but they suck.
Yes, that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the 26th overall offense. I mean, that's bottom of the NFL, and then 23rd best defense. But they find ways to win, whether it's a block field goal for return for a touchdown or just whatever. Saquon is on a downward spiral right now. He was a couple weeks ago a top 3 running back. Right now he's 14th overall. I don't know. A.J. Brown looks really good. Finally, Devontae Smith looked fantastic last week. Dallas Goedert is Goddard is a top 5 tight end, and Hurts obviously is a top 5 quarterback. So lots of players here can score a lot of points. I think it'll be a fun matchup, and I think the Eagles will try to get some revenge on the Giants who just beat them. So I think a lot of points will be scored this game.
Yeah, and I think the Giants will want some revenge for after collapsing in the fourth quarter last week to the Broncos. Right. So that'll be a fun matchup for sure.
Yep.
All right. So our next segment that we've got is called the Long Shot Lineup. So this is where we pick some players that may or may not be on your fantasy radar at all to potentially put into your starting lineup, pick up off the waiver wire, and add to your team because whether it be from injury or just from scheme or matchup, these players could do a lot of good for fantasy. So last week, I'll just review what I did last week. Not really that great, but that's okay. I had Dylan Gabriel as my quarterback. Not great. He had 140-ish yards, I think. No passing touchdowns, but no turnovers either. So
hey, they won.
Huh?
Browns won.
The Browns won. That's all that matters. Yeah. And then I had running back Ashton Genty, and as I said earlier, the longest play from the line of scrimmage was 16 yards for the Raiders. So
right, not a good week
at
for
this point, do you even play any Raiders players? Probably not. I had Alec Romanor. He was supposed to step up and be the wide receiver 1 for that team in the absence of Calvin Ridley. He did not. I think he had 4 catches for 40-something yards. Not great. I had Troy Franklin, who did okay. Caught a couple of deep passes. I don't think he got into the end zone, though, but he did okay. And then Tyler Higbee is my tight end, and he also did okay. Nothing too crazy. And then Isaiah Davis I had for a flex, which I may have been a week early on him, but that's okay.
Maybe a couple seasons early. I don't know. My last week for the long shot lineup, like David said, these are just guys who not necessarily sleepers, but we like the matchups. We like the scheme. We think they're going to score a bunch of points this week, and they're not the top guys. Last week, I picked Aaron Rodgers for my quarterback, 23-34 for 349 yards and 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 26 fantasy points. That's a good pick. Yeah. My running back was Kamani Vidal, who not good. 9 rushes for 20 yards, 4 catches for 15 yards, just 7 fantasy points. Like I said, that Chargers running back room is a mess right now. So, I think he's going to eventually take it over. I like the player. I like the prospect coming out of Troy, but I don't know. Wide receiver, I picked Kendrick Bourne. Only had 2 catches for 14 yards, 3.4 fantasy points. Listen, the last 2 weeks before that, he had 142 yards each week. I thought, with this team, the opportunity with the injury as a receiver, I don't know. I had Rashee Rice for my second receiver, 7 catches for 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. I've been waiting on that. I need on my entire fantasy team is hurt. I need some points. Thank you, Rashee. Tight end, I had Harold Fannin Jr. I love the guy, but the Browns offense, I don't know. It's just so questionable. 4 catches, 36 yards, only 7.6 fantasy points. And then my last one flex, I Ted McMillan, 3 catches for 33 yards. Following the week where he had 2 touchdowns, and then every other week before they had a lot of yards, this just was a dud week for him. So going into this week, I'll start my quarterback.
Yeah.
Once again, this is the long shot lineup. Just guys who are sleepers, or we think have good matchups, or just not the top guys. Quarterback Bo Nix projected 19.21 fantasy points against the Cowboys last week against the Giants. David talked about 27 of 50, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 5 rushes for 48 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Almost 40 fantasy points last week. This week they play the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense is awful. I understand last week was weird. I think the Cowboys expected. I think the Cowboys. I think that the Commanders were going to beat up on the Cowboys. I thought, man, this defense is so bad, and the Commanders' offense, Jaden Daniels, I thought he was going to just tear them up, and that didn't happen. Especially, with the Cowboys having the worst defense in the NFL going into the game. That being said, the Cowboys still have the worst defense in the NFL, even after last week, and the worst passing defense in the NFL, which is important. The Cowboys are ranked 32nd, allowing 401 yards, passing yards, and 24 touchdowns this season.
Wow.
401 total yards, 260 passing yards, still a ton. 16 total passing touchdowns. The Broncos have a much healthier offense than the Commanders, and they're averaging 215 yards of passing yards this season, and 11 total touchdowns. So I don't know. I think the Bo Nix is going to go off this week and is going to continue to play amazing. I mean, he had almost 40 fantasy points last week. That's a winning week for sure if he started him. I think he's going to continue that. So.
Yeah. I'll jump into my quarterback here because I really like my quarterback's matchup, and that is Joe Flacco. You mentioned earlier how you were in love with Ja'Marr Chase and how he's doing amazing, and Joe Flacco is feeding him the ball. Joe Flacco, 31 of 47 last week for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. If he can repeat that now this week against a beat-up Jets team, he might actually throw for 400 or 500 yards because T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase might just exploit that whole defense.
Yeah.
So, I love the matchup. The Jets team literally looks lost, and will they have a win this year? I honestly have no clue. So I love the matchup for Joe Flacco. I love the weapons that he has there. If they take away Ja'Marr Chase, he has a T. Higgins. If they take both of them away, they have Chase Brown to check down to. So, just love it for Joe Flacco, and hope to see them do well for fantasy. So, good option for picking him up off the waivers and starting him.
There you go. Good to your running back.
Yeah, my first running back is Devin Neal, rookie running back for the New Orleans Saints. Guy out of Kansas who's a big speedster and runs really well and hits the open field well. I heard a quote today on Twitter that said Calvin, or what's his name? No, not Calvin. Alvin Kamara.
Oh.
Alvin Kamara, who's the running back 1 for the Saints, said that Devin Neal is one of the smartest rookies that he's ever worked with. And so I think that speaks a lot to just his knowledge of the game and his willingness to just soak in everything that's around him. And now he has an opportunity. The running back 2 for the Saints, Keandre Miller, got hurt and is on IR now. Alvin Kamara is getting a little bit older. Some trade rumors going around, so he could step into that role and get a lot more touchdowns. I doubt it too, but
he said if he gets traded, he's just going to retire. So.
Yeah,
he's not going to get traded just off of that threat alone. So
but still, opportunities knocking now.
Let's
see how Devin Neal does with it. So definitely worth stashing and seeing. Maybe not starting this week, but definitely worth monitoring his status. So
there you go. My running back for this week is DeAndre Swift. Projected 12.38 fantasy points against the Ravens. Last week against the Saints, 19 carries for 124 yards and a touchdown. He also had a catch for 14 yards, 22 fantasy points. Also, week 6 against the Commanders, 14 rushes for 108 yards, 2 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown, 28 fantasy points. I mean, DeAndre Swift started off very average this year. The first 4 games, he had a total of 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that Caleb Williams is going to struggle, as I said before, this week, but I think that Swift will benefit from that. The Ravens had the 26th worst rushing defense in the NFL. They allow 134 rushing yards per game and 9 total touchdowns. I mean, Swift has had 232 yards and 1 rushing touchdown, 81 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown in the last 2 weeks. That's amazing numbers. Yeah, I mean, he is dealing with a groin injury right now. He hasn't practiced this week, but last week he didn't practice much either, and they still played, and he had the best game of his best game of the year this year. So I don't know. I mean, that's something to monitor, but if he plays, I'm looking for him to continue the dominance this week, and especially against the bad Ravens defense. So.
Yeah, that's a great pick, and somebody who's definitely emerged as a weapon in that passing game too. So good pick.
I'll go to my receiver. My receiver, once again, this is the long shot lineup. This is just guys who are sleepers. We think they have good matchups. They're not the top guys, but these are guys who we think might have a good week this week. Jordan Addison, receiver for the Vikings, projected 12.29 fantasy points against the Eagles. Last week against I have against the Eagles. 9 catches for 128 yards, 22 fantasy points, almost 23. This week they play the Chargers. Yeah, okay. Who are ranked 19th in the passing defense. They've allowed 10 passing touchdowns this season. Addison was suspended the first 3 games of the year, obviously. Since his return, he's played in 3 games, has had 283 yards and a touchdown with a total of 54.8 fantasy points. That's a lot. I mean, that's nearly 55 fantasy points in 3 games. Carson Wentz has been pretty serviceable so far as a starter for the Vikings, and he was also named the starter this week as well. Addison would be a top 15 receiver this year if he's played those first 3 games. But he may end up being one when it's all said and done, even with Justin Jefferson on the other side of the field. I think Addison's going to have a really good week this week. So.
Yeah, that's a great pick. My first wide receiver that I have is none other than Jalen Noel, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, another rookie. For this guy, I think the opportunity is knocking because he might be the wide receiver 1 this week. Christian Kirk's out for a little bit with a hamstring, I think it was, and then the wide receiver 1 for that team, Nico. Thank you, I forgot his name. Nico Collins, is out with a concussion. We'll see if he comes back or not. But either way, he had a career game for him in his young rookie career. He had 4 catches for 77 yards, looked really efficient and looked really comfortable in that offense. And so we'll see what happens. They're going up against San Francisco, and so that defense is pretty good. But if he can still be that wide receiver 1 and that option for C.J. Stroud to throw to, I think he could do well fantasy-wise. So definitely something to keep an eye on and maybe even start if you got him in your league. So
there you go. Do your second one.
My second one is Kendrick Bourne for the San Francisco 49ers. There's still so many injuries going on in that game. George Kittle finally came back from IR and laid a goose egg, did nothing. And so with that, I still think Kendrick Bourne's going to have a role in this offense. The 49ers traded for him for a reason. Brandon Ayuk looks nowhere ready to come back. Ricky Pearsall still not too sure if he's going to play. So, Kendrick Bourne, I think he could still be fantasy relevant. Mosser mentioned 2 weeks ago he lit it up and scored a lot of points. So
142 yards in 2 consecutive games. So
that is still potential to be there. And so if Brock Purdy's able to play, it might even help booster his stats. So we'll see, but definitely worth stashing and maybe even starting. So
there you go. Good one. My second receiver for the long shot lineup is Kayshon Boutte.
That's not a Boutte pick.
No, projected 8.56 fantasy points against the Browns this week. Last week he had 2 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown, 13.5 fantasy points. When Boutte leaves the team in targets, he dominates. I mean, week 1 he led the team with 6 catches on 8 targets for 103 yards. Week 6 he led the team with 5 catches on 5 targets for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. Drake May looks to be. I said this last week. He looks to be one of the best quarterbacks in 2025. He's ranked currently 4th on Sleeper. Last week he did not lead the team in targets, but he did catch 2 out of 2 for 55 yards and a touchdown. Very, very serviceable. The Patriots offense is exciting to watch, led by Drake May. I think that Boutte is becoming one of May's favorite targets. He's ranked 29th overall as a wide receiver the last 2 weeks. He's had 7 catches on 7 targets for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. This week they do play the Browns, who have a really, really, really good defense. Not a good team, but a really good defense. They're the top-ranked defense in the NFL, only allowing 256 yards per game. And their passing defense is obviously no slouch too, ranking 3rd, allowing 173 passing yards per game and 12 touchdowns. I mean, Drake May is going to get his this week. He's going to. I think Vrabel is just. They're a match made in heaven. I think that Boutte is going to benefit by that a lot. Even against a great Browns defense, the Browns defense, they bend and then they finally break in the fourth quarter unless they're playing the Dolphins. There's going to be opportunities to score for Boutte. I think that he's going to do it this week. Give me him as a long shot. So
yeah, it's a good pick. I like that one.
All right, I'll go into my tight end.
Yeah, who you got?
Omarion Gadsden. You talked about him last
Chargers.
week. Yep. Projected 9.85 fantasy points against the Vikings last week versus the Colts. 7 catches for 164 yards and a touchdown. Over 30 fantasy points. The last 2 weeks, 14 catches for 230 yards and a touchdown. 42 fantasy points total. He's a rookie. And the veteran tight end Tyler Higbee said that he loves him. He thinks that he's going to be very, very good in the NFL. I think that Gadsden's building some fantastic chemistry with Justin Herbert, and that will continue this week against the Vikings. The Vikings do have a good passing defense this year. They rank 7th, allowing 184 passing yards per game. But they also have allowed 34 catches for 262 yards and 3 passing touchdowns against tight ends this year. I think that their defense is going to have to worry about a lot of, with Keelan Allen, Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, even, Kamani Vidal. Gadsden's going to benefit for that. He's going to get open. I think he's going to score some points this week.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. My tight end that I have it's a big sleeper. Jatavian Sanders for the Panthers. Yeah. So that team's beat up. Bryce Young probably not going to play this week. Has a sore hip, I think it is. And so they're going to turn to the old sneaky veteran Andy Dalton. And I think Andy Dalton is going to target both Ted McMillan and Jatavian Sanders a lot in this game. I think that yeah, I think that this could be a great matchup for Jatavian Sanders. But yeah, you never know. We'll see. Andy Dalton could just decide to throw it to the other team too. But yeah, if there was a week for him to start, it would be with somebody that's an old veteran that would know how to utilize a tight end really well. That would be Andy Dalton. So
yeah, I mean, Dalton did good last year when he had to come in.
Yeah,
for the game.
true.
So I mean, he's very serviceable backup. I think. Great veteran presence. It could be much worse. So
true. Yeah. And then I have a flex as well,
Yep.
And that would be Matthew Golden, the wide receiver for the Packers. So the Packers are going up against Pittsburgh, and I'm not convinced that secondary is good for Pittsburgh. I think that Matthew Golden will be able to find some deep shots to get open to make some big explosive plays and might even have a breakout game for himself. He's projected right now 7 points. I think that he will do much better than 7 points against that team. But we'll see. They could just decide to run the ball with Josh Jacobs the whole time. But yeah, I mean, that Packers team, they have a lot of weapons. They'll spread it around, but I think this could be a potential breakout game for Matthew Golden. So I would venture to start him if you have him.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I noted earlier that Christian Watson also is looking to play this game too. So open things up more for Golden there. So
yeah.
My flex for this week was Chase Brown, running back for the Bengals, projected 12.71 fantasy points against the Jets. Last week, obviously, he played well against the Steelers, 11 rushes for 108 yards, 13 fantasy points. It's kind of not hard to be really good when you have Jamar Chase getting targeted 23 times. I mean, the running game is the worst, least of your problems at that point. I mean, yes, he's been a huge disappointment so far this season, but so has that entire offense. Who would have thought that an NFL team is only good as their starting quarterback, especially as a Browns fan? I didn't know that,
Never would have guessed.
Jake Browning, obviously not the answer to place Burrow. And then Joe Flacco has brought life into this Bengals offense, which was desperately needed. The Bengals played the Jets this week, who ranked 23rd in the rushing defense, allowing 129 yards per game and 5 total touchdowns. As I said in the Hunks and Skunks, the Jets, they have the worst record. They have no passing game, not to mention Justin Fields has been benched for, Tyrod Taylor. The Jets team is a huge mess. They're going to have to figure out ways to stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That will open things up for Chase Brown tremendously this week. I think that he's going to get a lot of catches out of the backfield this week as well. I like Chase Brown this week as a long shot player. So he's my favorite.
That's a good pick. I like it. All right, so we'll jump into our legacy lineup next. So that will be our daily fantasy sports betting lineup. So this is just going off of the matchups that we think will be best for this upcoming week.
We just do a quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. So
yep, just one position or one player at each position.
Yep.
Last week I picked Jaden Daniels, Quinshon Judkins, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Zach Ertz. So outside of Jaden Daniels, I feel like I did pretty well last week.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, but that hammy will get you.
Yeah,
but yeah, this week I've got Dak Prescott as my quarterback. We already talked about that matchup, how it could be explosive, and that offense is just firing on all cylinders. I have James Cook as my running back coming off their bye week. I think that the Bills will get back to that running game and do really well. And then my wide receiver, I have CeeDee Lamb, kind of going off the Dak Prescott play. I think that stack will be pretty good and pretty dynamic. CD still looking really that first explosive game of the season so far, and I think that this could be the game for him.
And my game last week.
He did have a good game, but I mean, like, explosive, like.
He had over 100 yards. He's had over 100 yards the llast 3 games he's played.
No, I agree. I just think like multiple touchdowns, like explosive.
I'm arguing with you here because he obviously should start it for DFS. So.
Yes. And then my tight end that I have is George Kittle, which might be a reach because he scored nothing last week. But I think that offense just needs to get him more involved. And maybe last week was like, okay, you're back from injury. Let's shake off the rust a little bit, just get you comfortable playing again. And this week we're going to really feed you the ball. And so I expect him to do really well. So.
There you go. Yeah. Once again, this is the legacy lineup. These are just DFS guys, daily fantasy sports guys, or just who we think is going to be. Basically, we're just guessing the top scorer for the top positions here. Last week I had Jaden Daniels as well. I actually had just a dud week. Jaden Daniels, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Drake London, Harold Fannin. 8 fantasy points is the highest one I've had, other than my quarterback, and then obviously Daniels, like you said, hurt his hammy, so not very good. But we're moving on to this week. My quarterback for this week is Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are playing the Commanders this week, who are ranked 25th in passing defense. Mahomes is currently the top fantasy quarterback, and will look to get even better now with that Rashee Rice is going to have a second game under his belt. Jaden Daniels is not playing the game either, which is going to be huge. Mariota is a serviceable backup. He likes to run the ball a lot too, but he's obviously a backup for a reason. There'll be a lot of opportunities for Mahomes to score a lot of points because their offense is going to be on the field a lot. So give me Patrick Mahomes this week.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Going on to my running back, I talked about him earlier, but Jonathan Taylor, he's just incredible this year. He's only 3 yards away from having 700 yards on the season, and he has 10 rushing touchdowns, which is crazy after 7 weeks. Crazy. He's already scored 107, almost 180 fantasy points so far this season as well. Just it's a cheat code. There's not much to discuss here, honestly. I mean, the Colts offense is absolutely dynamic with the resurgence of Daniel Jones under center. They're averaging 380 total yards a game, which is second in the NFL, and they have 16 rushing touchdowns as a team. Jonathan Taylor is a cheat code, the best player on one of the best offenses, and now they're playing the Titans this week. The Titans are 29th this season in rushing defense. They allow 140 rushing yards per game, and they've allowed the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL so far this season. Play Jonathan Taylor, please. Play him. I mean, simple as that.
Do yourself a favor. Just put him in your lineup.
Yeah. My wide receiver this week is a little different. Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
I think the guy's already a superstar. Just the factory of Ohio State receivers, one after another. Obviously, Carnell Tate is going to be a first-round pick next year. Then Jeremiah Smith. We get Chris Henry Jr. coming in. Junior Harlow-Brown. It's going to be, for the next 20 years, you're just going to have first-round receivers who are going to be Rookie of the Year. And Emeka Egbuka, he's going to be no exception. He's going to be the Rookie of the Year this year. I'm guaranteeing it. Currently ranked the 6th overall receiver in Sleeper. He's recorded 31 catches for 527 yards and 5 freaking touchdowns this year. He's the clear number receiver on that team. And I thought that before Mike Evans even came back from injury. And now that Evans is out most likely the entire season, Egbuka is going to continue that dominance. He's going to. This week, the Buccaneers play the Saints, allowing 206.3 yards per game and 14 passing touchdowns this season. There's going to be so much opportunity this week for Baker and Egbuka to make some huge connections in the game. One thing to monitor, he's dealing with the small hamstring problem. They're saying he's probably going to play. I think he plays. If he plays, Egbuka is going to have a great week. So.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
And then my tight end, finally, Tyler freaking Warren, baby. My Pookie.
Hey,
I love Tyler Warren. I love him. He's everything that I want a tight end and more. I love him. As I said above with Jonathan Taylor, the Colts offense is humming on a different level. And, Tyler Warren is clearly a major contributor in that. Currently the tight end 3 as a rookie. 33 catches for 439 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's incredible, impressive numbers. And this Titans defense is awful. They rank 18th against tight ends so far this season, allowing 21 catches for 434 yards and a touchdown. He's going to eat. There's going to be a lot of opportunities this week for Tyler Warren. They're going to have to worry about Jonathan Taylor. They're going to have to worry about Michael Pittman, who's serviceable. Hopefully Josh Downs comes back from that concussion. Tyler Warren's going to get open and continue to dominate on the field. Thank God for Tyler Warren.
Yes. All right, that's a good one. We'll have to see whose lineup does better next week.
For sure.
Recapping. Because those are both good lineups. So.
All right, let's jump into sleepers and creepers.
Sleepers and creepers.
You can drop your first sleeper. So these are just waiver pickups. They'll be like guys who are really low on the totem pole who we think you should add to your team. So,
you want to go first or want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My first one is, I talked about him earlier, but tight end Amarian Gadsden. I love him. You also did.
I have him as well.
we do this every week.
Obviously.
He's only rostered 12% on Sleeper. It's criminally low. I talked about him earlier, like I said. The last 2 weeks, 14 catches for 232 yards and a touchdown, 42.7 fantasy points. And I talked about Tyler Higbee also, saying that he's really, really good. Higbee's been non-existent this year. 13 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, only 35 fantasy points on the season compared to the 42 that, Gadsden has had the last 2 weeks. It's safe to say that Gadsden is going to be the take over the tight end room. He's going to be the tight end one. I actually think that it's already happened. He's starting to heat up, and you better get on that Aronde train before it's too late. 12% rostered in Sleeper. You need to add this guy for sure. He's a dynamic playmaker on a really good team.
Yep, agreed. I'm not going to talk about him because you already just laid that one out. But my next person on my list for sleepers would be Joe Flacco. Talked about him a little bit earlier, but he's just got a plethora of weapons around him. Going up against the Jets this week, he could do really, really well and continue to do well because Joe Burrow might not come back anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, I'd pick him up. I'd start him if you got him. The potential's there for him to just continue having explosive weeks because he just has great playmakers on the outside. I'd pick him up. I'd start him, especially this week. Joe Flacco.
There you go. Go to your second one.
Yeah, my second one, I have Tez Johnson. So you talked about Emeka Egbuka a little bit. Another rookie receiver for the Bucs who's done pretty well is Tez Johnson. Small frame, only 5'10", but the past 2 weeks he's had about 70% of the snap counts for him just because there's been so many injuries in the wide receiver room. In the last 2 weeks, he's also caught a touchdown each week. Yeah. So, last week he only had the one catch, or 2 weeks ago he only had the one catch. This past week he had 4 catches on 9 targets for 15 yards and a touchdown. So looking like he's getting a little bit more involved in the passing game, looking like Baker could trust him a little bit more. And I think his team's finally focused more on Egbuka. You can definitely count on Tez Johnson to get more of those targets and more of the offensive shares. And so if you keep scoring touchdowns, that's great, but definitely add him to your team. And I wouldn't start him just yet, but just stash him and just see what he does. So
yeah, I like Tez a lot. I liked him coming out of Oregon. I mean, he's fun. He does backflips. He's just a fun guy. He's only rostered 22% on Sleeper, so definitely a guy that you can pick up and stash, especially with, like you said, the injuries. And there's major opportunities for him to shine. Going into opportunities, my second Sleeper this week is Cade Otton, same team, tight end, Buccaneers. Own 38% of teams on Sleeper, so plenty of opportunity to add him. Ott has season highs in targets and catches in Week 7 against the Lions. The last 4 games, he's had 19 catches for 206 yards. Very electric offense by Baker Mayfield, and a tight end that he was heavily targeted last year, and I think is going to continue that. He was injured at the beginning of the season. He has 45.1 fantasy points so far this year. After being snubbed out on catches in 2 games this season. Early, with Mike Evans out for most of the rest of the season with a broken collarbone, Chris Godwin being injured the entire season, basically, Cade should continue to be used in the passing game. This week, the Buccaneers play the Saints. The Saints are ranked 25th against the tight end. They've allowed 37 catches for 364 yards and 2 touchdowns. Plenty of opportunity for Cade Otton to get his this week, especially with Emeka Egbuka on the other side, and Rachaad White has been a very serviceable backup running back that started because of Bucky Irving. I think that Cade's going to stack onto what he's already done for the past few weeks. I think Cade Otton, give me him for a sleeper, 38% on sleeper right now. And then I had just a random one. I also wrote down Devin Neal I didn't write anything else after that, but I just like Devin Neal for the sleeper as well. So
and I was talking about him a little bit earlier too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I mentioned it. Going into creepers, I can go first.
Yeah,
I wrote the entire Texas running back room.
Ooh, okay.
Woody Marks is owned 65% on Sleeper, way too much, and Nick Chubb is owned 72% on Sleeper. I liked Woody coming out of college. He was great at pass catching at Mississippi State and at USC. He recorded at least 1 reception in 56 of his 57 games in college, which I thought was an interesting statistic. He holds the Mississippi State record for most receiving yards by a running back with 1,225 receiving yards. But unfortunately, he's just not performing well in his rookie season with the Texans. That offensive line is just horrible. On a year that he has 46 attempts and 152 yards and touchdown, 9 catches, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's ranked the 37th running back in Sleeper right now. And then obviously, we all know what Nick Chubb was before the horrible injury afflicted by D-bag, make it Fitzpatrick. Screw that guy. Sorry, I'm a Browns fan. It
was a stupid, dirty play anyway.
Oh, it was. He's a D-bag. He's unfortunately just a shell of himself. It's sad because I literally have an autograph photo of him here. I mean, my man cave is filled with Nick Chubb memorabilia. I love him. But he's a former shell of himself. Like I said, he's currently ranked the 40th running back on Sleeper. 63 rushes for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 catches for 41 yards. This rushing game is a mess. This team is a mess. So the Texans are ranked 18th in rushing offense right now. As long as they decide to split snaps between the two, I think that both of their values are very low. I think they're definitely creepers for me, especially for how much they are owned on sleepers. Like I said, Woody Marks is 65% owned on sleeper, and Nick Chubb is 72%. They should be on your bench or on your taxi squad at this point. So,
yeah, I agree. Sadly, as much as I love Chubb, my creepers for this week, well, really for the whole season, it seems like would be the entire Dolphins team. We just saw the Browns just take it to the Dolphins team and force Tua to throw 3 picks, almost 4, and have forced a few other turnovers. So, that whole team is just garbage right now. I have had the unfortunate pleasure of starting Tua in my Dynasty League the last few weeks because I traded away Drake May like an idiot.
Thank you!
Yeah, you're welcome.
To me!
And I've had to be forced to start Tua, and it has been awful. He has scored negative points. He has scored 1 point. He has scored 6 points, just completely been awful. I think there's still a little bit something to be said for Jalen Waddle. I still think he's serviceable as a fantasy wide receiver. But, everybody else on that team. Traded. I hope he does, honestly.
Best for him, so.
Yes, please. And so, I just think that whole team you should be avoiding at all costs. Do not start them. Just stay away. They're the plague. Stay away.
And then my final creeper for the night, CJ Stroud. I'm going with the Texans theme here. Owned 96% on Sleeper. Last week completed 23 of 49 for 229 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception, 2 rushes for 25 yards. Only had 14 fantasy points. CJ Stroud of the Texans passing game is ranked 23rd in the NFL. Their offensive line is absolute buns. Nico Collins was projected to be a top receiver this season, but he's ranked 33rd on Sleeper right now. Now he's dealing with a concussion. their offensive line, like I said, they're ranked 16th in offensive line rankings. That's from PFF, but you can't ever trust PFF, to be honest. And as I mentioned above, the running back room is garbage and unreliable. This team is bad, and unfortunately, CJ Stroud is the benefactor of that poor play. I like CJ Stroud a lot. I'm biased. I'm a Buckeyes fan, but I think he's a great quarterback. He's just surrounded by just not greatness around him. I do not like his situation, but I have to keep him right now for the foreseeable future just because that team is a mess. So.
Yeah, I agree. My last creeper for this season, I'm just going to go with season at this point, would be Cam Ward, somebody who I was pretty excited on going into this year because I think he's talented, I think he's smart, I think he's got the toughness, he's got the leadership skills. But that organization just set him up for failure. They have literally said, oh, we're so excited to draft you. Here's no weapons. Here's no offense. Here's no coaching. The entire organization just literally trashed him in his whole first season in his career. Yeah. And I kind of feel bad for him. Like, he has no weapons. He has no running game. He has no offensive line. They fired the coaches. Like, they have no clue what they're doing.
He sounds like a first round or first overall quarterback pick because that happens pretty much to every single first overall quarterback.
Yeah, it does. And I think that just speaks to the lack of development that the NFL has in quarterbacks, but also just like the lack of, hey, we're going to set you up for success. Like you look at teams like the Patriots, maybe is a better example. Another like top overall quarterback draft class who, the first season was rough. They sat him for a little bit, let him learn, develop the first year, and then, hey, we're going to bring in a good coach. We're going to bring in some weapons. We're going to sign Stephon Diggs. We're going to get you a good offensive line. Like, that's how you set up somebody for success. You be patient with them. You let them learn and develop on their own. Give them some time. But they just threw Cam Ward to the wolves, and he just seems overwhelmed, lost, and just I feel bad for him at this point. And, I mean, honestly, if you're a Titans fan, I feel you because I'm a Browns fan. But it's embarrassing that this is like what the NFL does over and over again to young quarterbacks.
I think it just depends on the player, though. To be honest, too. I mean, in the situation, there are plenty. I mean, Jaden Daniels thrown in there, Bo Nix thrown in there.
Sure,
there are plenty of opportunities for guys who take advantage of it. But also, Bo Nix has a great offense around a great defense. I mean, when you struggle with not having the weapons on your offense, the coaching. I mean, obviously he doesn't even have a coach anymore. So yeah, that's rough. I like Ward too. I think he's in a terrible, terrible situation right now. So
yeah. But yeah, he is my creeper, and it really should just be the Titans organization as a whole. But Cam Ward is now paying the price for it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our last segment. This is
FMFT,
Fix My Fantasy Team, where we will tweet out our post, and then you just comment on there and ask any questions you want. It could be waiver wire additions. It could be who starts it. It could be anything. I only saw one question this week, David. Did you see any more than just
I have not seen any more. That's the only one that we got. So.
Cool. We got one, and that's exciting for us. This one is from Shane Meyer. He said, what are we supposed to think of Garrett Wilson when he gets healthy with the state of this New York Jets offense? Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Well, I can go first. So obviously, I have been on record on this podcast saying that I like Garrett Wilson. I do not like the situation that he's in. So if I'm a Garrett Wilson owner right now, I'm just sitting patient and hoping and praying to the football gods that he gets traded, because the talent is there, the poise and moxie is there, the ability to catch the contested football is there. He just needs to go to a different team at this point. And I know that there are some rumors circulating about some certain teams in Cleveland that might want him. But
David is an incredible optimistic Browns fan who thinks that he thinks that any trade rumor is going to happen no matter what because he believes, and I love him to death, but it pisses me off.
I gotta believe, okay?
Gosh.
But yeah, if he gets traded to another team, like if there's a team that's trying to make a playoff with, like even the Steelers to a certain extent, if he goes to the Steelers, like he could do really well in that offense.
God help me.
Be a good weapon for them. So I think fantasy wise, he'll be fine if he comes back and sits on the Jets and plays for them and has a terrible team around him. Like he'll still be fine. But if he gets traded, he will do really well. So I would just sit on him and hold him. And if you got him on your team, just be patient, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Garrett Wilson. Probably too much. I'm very biased. Like I said, I'm a huge Buckeyes fan. And he's one of my Pookies. I only have a few, but he's my fantasy Pookie. He was my first draft pick in one of my favorite dynasty leagues, and I love him. His talent is undeniable. The problem is that he's part of this Jets team, and that team and culture is just garbage, hot garbage. Yeah. And he just signed an extension with that garbage team. There are currently a lot of trade rumors, like David said, circulating involving Jets players in general, but also including Garrett Wilson. I think he's a starter every week, regardless, as long as he's healthy, regardless of what team he's on. The Jets have benched Justin Fields, and now Tyrod Taylor is a starter. It would be very smart for them to scheme the ball to Garrett Wilson as much as possible. Not to mention, if he gets traded, like David said, his value is going to absolutely skyrocket. There's a lot of wide receiver needy teams in the NFL right now. I'm definitely keeping Garrett Wilson, and I'm definitely starting him. I can't keep him on my bench. He's too good. So
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Another team I just thought of that would be an interesting trade candidate for Garrett Wilson is the Indianapolis Colts. You think about them having Anthony Richardson sitting on their bench, still a young rookie or young quarterback that's still developing in the league. What would it look like if the Jets traded for him and in return got Garrett Wilson to that offense?
So unrealistic.
I
Gosh. All right. That was FMFT, guys. That is our show for the day. David, we did it under an hour. We are killing it, brother.
Yes.
That's awesome.
New record.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like I said, we're here every single Wednesday, 9:00 live. Please come join us. Go onto our Twitter page Twitter page at the Commish Couch. You'll see our FMFT there. I will also retweet it at Dynasty Clee every single time. But please go on there. We have 153 live viewers right now. We're so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for just spending time with us and just talking fantasy football. Please contribute. Please ask questions for next week, and we'll see you all next week on the Commissioner's Couch, 9:00 Wednesday live.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much.